Hello, dear listener. I'm Emma, and I'm so glad you're here with us today.
And I'm Mike. Thank you so much for pressing play and spending a little part of your day with us.
Yes, really, thank you. It means a lot that you're joining us to learn, grow, and reflect together. This space, the Calm English Corner, is not just for practicing English, but also for thinking about life in a gentle, honest way.
I love that. It's like we're learning words, but also learning about ourselves.
Exactly. And today's topic is one that often makes people think deeply: rich versus poor mindset. But don't worry, this isn't about how much money you have. It's about how you think, the beliefs and habits behind our daily choices.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. Imagine two people who both face the same problem. Let's say they lose their job. A person with a poor mindset might say, "I'm unlucky. Life is unfair." But a person with a rich mindset might think, "This is hard, but maybe it's time to learn something new or start something different."
Wow. So it's not about having money. It's about how you react when things go wrong.
Yes, that's a beautiful way to put it. A rich mindset focuses on possibilities. A poor mindset focuses on problems.
I think I've had both mindsets at different times. There were moments when I felt small, like nothing would change. But other times I felt confident and open, even without money.
That's such an honest reflection, Mike, and it's true for most of us. No one always has a rich mindset. It's something we have to practice.
Practice. How do we do that?
By starting small. When something difficult happens, try asking yourself, "What can I learn from this?" instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" It changes your focus from fear to growth.
That makes sense. When I think, why me, I feel stuck. But when I think, what can I learn, I feel lighter, more in control.
A rich mindset isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about believing you have the power to grow even from pain.
That's really powerful, Emma. It reminds me of something my father used to say. Money can come and go, but your way of thinking stays with you.
That's wisdom right there. The way we think becomes the foundation for everything we do: how we handle challenges, how we build relationships, and even how we see ourselves.
So today, we're not talking about rich and poor people. We're talking about rich and poor mindsets.
Because real richness begins in the mind.
I like that.
And in this episode, we'll explore how to shift our thoughts from fear and limitation to growth and abundance. Have you ever noticed how two people can look at the same situation and see completely different things?
Yeah, like when one person says, there's not enough time, and another person says, I can make time. Same 24 hours, but totally different feelings.
That's the power of mindset, and one of the biggest differences between a rich and a poor mindset is how people see the world, through scarcity or abundance.
Scarcity and abundance. Could you explain those words a little?
Of course, scarcity means believing there's not enough money, not enough love, not enough chances. It's the feeling of lack. And abundance means believing there's always more opportunities, more to learn, more to give.
So a poor mindset focuses on what's missing, and a rich mindset focuses on what's possible.
That's a perfect summary, Mike. People with a scarcity mindset often think in terms of either or, like either they win or I win. But an abundant mindset believes in both and. We can both win.
That's interesting. It kind of reminds me of how I used to feel at work when someone else got promoted. I felt jealous, like there was no space left for me to grow.
That's a very human feeling. Many of us have felt that. But an abundant mindset would say, their success shows me what's possible.
Wow, that's such a different way to see things. Instead of feeling small, you feel inspired.
Exactly. Scarcity closes your heart. Abundance opens it.
So people with a scarcity mindset might think, I can't share what I know, someone might copy me. But with an abundant mindset, they'd think, if I share, I'll grow even more.
Yes, and you know what's beautiful about that? When you give, you don't lose, you expand.
That's deep. It's like love. The more you give, the more you have.
Perfect example. And this applies to money too. A person with a poor mindset might say, I can't spend on learning, it's too expensive. But a person with a rich mindset thinks, if I learn something new, it can bring me more value later.
That hits close to home. I used to avoid buying books or taking classes. I thought, it's not worth it. But when I finally started investing in learning English, it changed everything. Not just my skills, but how I saw myself.
That's exactly it. Abundance is not about being careless. It's about trusting that what you give will come back in another form.
It's kind of peaceful, isn't it? You stop fighting to keep everything, and you start believing that there's enough.
Yes, it brings peace. And more than that, it brings freedom. When you live in abundance, you stop comparing, stop competing, and start creating.
I love that. Stop comparing, start creating. I might write that down.
Please do, because once you start creating ideas, relationships, or growth, you're already living like someone with a rich mindset.
You know, Emma, I think I've spent a lot of time living in scarcity, afraid to lose, afraid to fail. But maybe that's the first step, to see it.
You're right. Awareness is the beginning of change. When you can name your fear, you can start to let it go.
So, if someone listening right now feels like there's not enough time, money, chances, what can they do?
I'd say start by practicing gratitude. Each day, name 3 things you already have, no matter how small. Gratitude slowly opens your eyes to abundance.
Because once you notice what you have, you stop focusing on what's missing.
Exactly. Gratitude is the bridge from scarcity to abundance.
I think I'll start tonight. 3 things I'm grateful for. Number 1, this conversation.
That's beautiful, Mike. You know, Mike, one of the biggest differences between a rich and poor mindset is this. Rich-minded people focus on learning. Poor-minded people focus only on earning.
That's interesting. So you're saying people with a rich mindset care more about growing than just making money?
Yes, they see learning as an investment, something that brings value over time. But when we focus only on earning, we sometimes forget to build the skills and habits that keep success growing.
I can relate to that. When I started my first job, I just wanted to make money quickly. I worked hard, but I didn't really learn much. After a while, I felt stuck.
Many people work hard but don't grow because they focus on doing, not improving. But people with a rich mindset always ask, what can I learn here, even in simple or boring jobs?
That's such a different attitude. I guess when you focus on learning, you see every challenge as a lesson instead of a wall.
And you stop being afraid of failure because failure becomes part of learning.
You know, that reminds me of when I first started learning English. At the beginning, I was afraid to speak, afraid to make mistakes. But when I changed my goal from speaking perfectly to learning something each time, it became fun.
That's such a rich mindset, Mike, because you focused on progress, not perfection.
Yeah, and I noticed I improved faster once I stopped worrying about sounding perfect.
That's the magic of growth. A rich mindset says, every mistake teaches me something. A poor mindset says, every mistake proves I'm not good enough.
Wow, that sentence really hits me.
I think we often forget that the most successful people started by learning, not knowing. Think of anyone great, athletes, artists, entrepreneurs. They all started small. They learned, failed, tried again. That's why success feels earned, because it comes from growth.
So, in a way, learning builds real confidence because it's not about luck or talent, it's something you've practiced and earned.
Yes, and that confidence lasts longer than any paycheck.
I love that. But I have a question, Emma. What about people who say, I don't have time to learn, I just need to survive?
That's a very real question, and I'd say start small. Learning doesn't always mean big courses or degrees. It can mean reading 1 page a day, asking more questions at work, or simply reflecting on what went right or wrong today.
So, learning can be a daily habit, not just something we do at school.
Exactly. And the amazing thing is, when you keep learning, you naturally start earning more. Not just money, but respect, trust, and opportunities.
It's like the difference between growing a tree and picking fruit. The poor mindset just wants the fruit right away. The rich mindset plants the tree first.
That's such a beautiful image, Mike. Yes, because if you take care of the tree, the fruit will come naturally.
I think I'm realizing that a rich mindset is not about chasing success. It's about becoming the kind of person who attracts it.
Perfectly said. When you focus on learning, you build yourself, and success follows.
So true. I guess from now on, I'll try to ask, what can I learn from this, instead of what will I get from this?
That's the shift, Mike. That's how a rich mindset begins, with one new question. But there's one more thing that truly separates a rich mindset from a poor one: taking responsibility.
Responsibility. You mean like admitting when we make mistakes?
Yes, but even more than that, it's about owning your life. People with a poor mindset often say, it's not my fault, or I can't do anything about it. But a rich mindset says, what can I do to change this?
I see. So one gives power away and the other takes it back.
Exactly. When you blame others, you give away your control. But when you take responsibility, you start creating change.
That reminds me of when I used to complain about my job all the time. I told everyone how unfair my boss was, but I never tried to improve my situation.
We've all been there. Complaining feels easier at first. It gives us comfort, but it also keeps us stuck.
Right? It's like staying in the same place and expecting life to move for you.
Yes, taking responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything. It means accepting that you have a choice, even if it's a small one.
I like that. Sometimes it's not about controlling everything, but about taking control of what we can.
A rich mindset focuses on action. It asks, what can I learn? What can I do? Instead of, who should I blame?
You know, I used to think that successful people were just lucky, but maybe it's not luck, it's ownership.
Yes, that's such a great point. Luck might open a door, but mindset decides whether you walk through it.
That's a good line, Emma. I'll remember that.
Please do. You see, when we take responsibility, we build self-respect. We stop waiting for someone to save us. We start saving ourselves.
That sounds powerful, but also kind of scary, because it means we can't hide behind excuses anymore.
True, it can feel uncomfortable at first, but it's also freeing. Because once you realize you have power, you can use it.
I guess that's how confidence grows, right? Not from everything going right, but from knowing we can handle it when things go wrong.
Exactly. Responsibility turns problems into practice. Each time you face a challenge, you're training your inner strength.
I really like that idea, training your inner strength. It makes personal growth sound like a skill, not a mystery.
It is a skill, and the more you practice it, the more you trust yourself. I once read something like, if you want to change your life, stop saying I can't and start asking, how can I?
That's a perfect example of a rich mindset in action. How can I opens possibilities. I can't closes them.
I think many of us were taught to be careful, to play safe, but no one told us that taking ownership is also a form of courage.
Yes, courage and responsibility walk hand in hand. A rich mindset knows that, even when things are unfair, you still have a choice. Your attitude, your effort, your next step.
That's really powerful, Emma. I guess it means we don't have to wait for a perfect moment to change. We just need to decide to act.
Exactly. The moment you take ownership, your life starts to shift, sometimes in small ways, sometimes in big ones, but it always moves.
I think I'm learning that being rich is not about having control over everything. It's about controlling yourself.
Beautifully said, Mike. And that's the heart of a rich mindset. Not control over the world, but calm control within. After all we've talked about, mindset, growth, responsibility, I think the richest people are the ones who feel free and grateful.
Free and grateful. I love that combination. But what do you mean by free?
I mean, freedom from fear, from comparison, from needing to prove your worth. A poor mindset often says, I'll be happy when I have more. But a rich mindset says, I'm thankful for what I have now, and I'm still open to more.
That's beautiful. I used to think freedom was about money, being able to buy anything or go anywhere. But lately, I've realized that freedom is also about peace inside your mind.
True wealth isn't measured by numbers. It's measured by how calm, grateful, and fulfilled you feel every day.
That's so true. Sometimes I see people who have a lot, but they're never satisfied. And then I meet people with little, but their hearts feel so full.
Yes, because gratitude changes how you see the world. When you're grateful, everything becomes a gift, not something you take for granted.
I remember once I was complaining because my old phone broke. My friend just smiled and said, "At least you have someone to text." That simple sentence hit me hard.
That's a lovely reminder. Gratitude helps us see what's already working instead of what's missing. And it doesn't mean pretending everything's perfect, right?
Not at all. Gratitude doesn't ignore pain, it balances it. It says, yes, things are hard, but there's still light here.
I like that, because sometimes when life feels heavy, noticing one small good thing, like a smile or a meal, or even a moment of quiet, can change your whole mood.
Gratitude is like a gentle reset button. It helps you breathe again, and the more you practice it, the richer your life feels, no matter what's in your bank account.
So, in the end, being rich isn't really about money. It's about how you see, how you think, and how you live.
You've captured it perfectly. Richness is a mindset of growth, ownership, and gratitude. It's about believing that you are enough and that life is full of possibilities.
That makes me feel peaceful. Like, maybe I don't have to chase so much. I can just grow one day at a time.
And that's the secret, Mike. Real success isn't about racing, it's about becoming.
Thank you, Emma. This conversation made me rethink what rich really means.
And thank you, Mike, for your honesty, your curiosity, and your open heart.
And to you, our listener, thank you for being here with us.
Yes, truly. We're so grateful you've spent this time with us, learning, reflecting, and growing.
Remember, you already have the power to change your life, one thought at a time.
Keep your mind rich and your heart grateful.
Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Bye for now. Smiling.
Bye-bye. Warm tone.